Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Chillin With Chase podcast. Today, we got some fun wrestling topics to talk about. Well, not all of these topics are fun. Some of them are a little bit somber to talk about. But as always, I am not alone for this episode. Once again, returning from the New Japan stream, we got ourselves Kaden from Fightful Overbook. Kaden, how are you doing, my friend?
Chase, I'm kind of doing bad today. I had to sit through NXT for the first time in months, and my God, that show sucks.
Oh wow, that sounds very rough. And you can see a different face in the camera. It's not Heel Steven, it's not Big Mike, it's not Romeo, it's not the usual guest you'll see. Duke CT is here today. Duke, how's it going, man?
Just fine.
Yeah, man. So, World of Wrestling has been very interesting the last few weeks, and I've been wanting to do a podcast about the whole Vince McMahon stuff, but then, things keep developing. But now I feel like things are kind of like, we're letting it simmer a little bit. There's not like much more crazy news, and we will definitely talk about that. But I want to talk about first Jay Briscoe. I didn't really give a chance to talk about Jay Briscoe. When the news broke literally last week on this day of this recording, Tuesday, we heard the tragic news that Jay Briscoe passed away tragically in an automobile accident. And it was really sad because we lost one of the best tag team wrestlers in the world, one of the best independent wrestlers of all time in Jay Briscoe, a guy who stepped up for Ring of Honor when Ring of Honor needed him the most. And we also heard the news too that, AEW wanted to do a tribute show for Jay Briscoe, but unfortunately, Warner Brothers Discovery would not allow that to air. We only got like a nice, hey, here's Jay Briscoe, rest in peace, no 10-bell salute or anything. And it feels like a right has been wronged because, or wrong has been right, I should say, because tomorrow night, or as you guys are watching this, tonight on Dynamite, we're going to be seeing Mark Briscoe take on Jay Lethal. I think this is like the best tribute match that you could do to celebrate the career of Jay Briscoe. You have one of his best rivals in Ring of Honor history in Jay Lethal, and you have his forever tag team partner, his own brother, another good rival if you look at the feuds they've had in Ring of Honor, and Mark Briscoe. But Kaden, what are your thoughts on the whole Jay Briscoe situation with like the whole Warner Brothers thing and just celebrating him as a wrestler and just everything that's going on and finally getting a really good tribute match on Dynamite?
Yeah, this really hurt. This is, I think I said in the group chat that we have, our Radicals group chat, that this is the hardest that a death has ever hit me that was not somebody I personally knew. And I've had some bad deaths in the last few years, just personally. And then obviously like some icons, Stan Lee passing away really hurt too. And Mr. Brody Lee in 2020. But this was somebody who this year, I got really behind the Briscoe brothers. I did not know a lot about them. Probably 2020 was the first time I heard of them in Ring of Honor, mainly because of the controversies with the tweet, the flag, just some issues there. But then 2021, I watched their match with OGK at Final Battle and loved it and fell in love with this team and what they can do. I was there for Supercard of Honor and their match against FTR, which I still believe is one of the best tag team matches of all time. The best tag team match I've ever seen in person. I've seen the two best tag team matches I've ever seen in person are both FTR versus Briscoe matches, because I was also there for the dog collar match. I saw them. They were in a triple threat at GCW against the Second Gear Crew and the Nick Gage and Slade. Got to see them do like a straight up death match. Getting to be in person front row for that was something that's going to be really special for me forever, knowing that was one of their last death matches. Because they were like, I saw two death matches because they also saw their Art of War Games match at GCW All Out Weekend. So I got to see two Briscoe hard like death matches plus a dog collar match in 2022. That I think that's just going to stick with me forever. It's just special moments. This guy was truly special. What he did, part of the first ever Ring of Honor match, I believe, was him versus Amazing Red, the first ever Ring of Honor match ever. Just, I mean, when he beat Kevin Steen with the J Driller, which is one of my favorite wrestling finishing moves ever. Also, I love the J Driller. It's a fantastic move.
Yes.
13, 14-time Ring of Honor Tag Champions, record setting.
13 time, I believe.
13 times.
The 13th when they beat FTR, which again I was there for. I was there for his last Ring of Honor match, and well, I didn't have a person I did not know the guy. He meant to, this year. He was a big part of. He was a big part of my wrestling year, and as a fan, it really hurt. I've cried a lot. I'm gonna be bawling my eyes out watching this match.
It's gonna be emotional. I'm excited for that match tonight. Technically, if you're watching this, because I was saying this, this death probably is one of the harder deaths in wrestling, because I saw all the pictures of people with Jay Briscoe, and it's how many times have people that we know can say, "Oh, I met the Briscoe brothers a bunch of times." Not a lot of people can say, "Oh, I met Brody Lee a bunch of times. I met Eddie Guerrero a bunch of times. I met this wrestler a bunch of times." This is a guy that affected a lot of generations. It was crazy when I heard his age. I was shocked when I heard 38. I was like, "What? He was only 38." I thought he was older because of how long he's been in the business. The Briscoe brothers, even if you are kind of not a hardcore Ring of Honor fan, you knew who they were. That's how big of a deal they were. You knew about the Briscoe brothers. There was a little bit of an excitement when you heard, "Oh, the Briscoes are trying out for NXT. What? The Briscoes? They're wrestling for Impact Wrestling." They're one of the best tag teams ever. And it doesn't matter that they never touched that WWE soil. Well, technically they did. They did do a tryout for WWE, but they're one of the best tag teams ever. And it sucks, because like you said, this death probably hurts a lot more, because it's just how many people actually interacted and connected with Mark and Jay Briscoe just on a regular basis and knew who they were as individuals. They're the perfect examples. Don't judge a book by their cover. Just because they look a certain way, just because of how they act, does not mean that's how they are as people. Because for all the people assumptions you can make about them, there's a video that Jay Briscoe post him doing cheer dances with his daughter and stuff like that, or him just being a good father in general, and you're just like, "Oh, what the heck? That's the same dude who wrestles." Just because who they portray in wrestling does not always mean who they are as a person. Duke, what are your thoughts on the whole Jay Briscoe thing with Warner's and just Jay Briscoe in general? I want to hear from you.
Man, the first time I remember seeing the Briscoes match, it was back in 2011. Honor takes center stage. I was there for WrestleMania 27, my first WrestleMania, and I was there for Honor takes.
Keep in mind, 27 was 11 years ago. So it's
crazy. Been a long. They have been there for a long time.
That's what I mean when the Briscoes have touched many generations. This is what I'm talking about. 11 years ago.
Yeah, they were there, and they were fighting against A&X, Red Titus, and Kenny King.
Mm-hmm.
And they made them look so legitimate. They actually, you know what? They made them they're, even though they lost, okay, these are going to be a threat in the tag division. And I'm like, wow, these were really good. I loved watching them. And then, the other person said, I made the trip. In fact, I went to Baltimore for Ring of Honor when they faced the Kingdom, when they regained the Ring of Honor title for the 12th time. I was there when they lost the titles to FTR, and all the shows that weekend. Fun stuff. Briscoes always had class, man. They did, made look, but they had that type of class and energy, and I was just shocked. I was expecting them honestly to actually make it to AEW one way or the other. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that. I think because of the old bosses and the managers and all that stuff, I think they would have, looked at his record and said, "You know what? Okay, we'll bring him in." I think because then you saw they did show pictures and video, and at FTR and in the dog collar match, you saw the Briscoes win and during Dynamite. So I think the ball was going to be rolling, and I wouldn't have been surprised if Jay Briscoe, did not pass. I think he would have made a surprise entrance. Maybe I don't know, earliest Double or Nothing, or later Full Gear of this year. I truly believe that. And the death just shocked me because, man, I was like, I wasn't much of a Ring of Honor fan. But but I knew of the Briscoes, and seeing them and seeing how everybody just connected with them, seeing how even people that haven't met, they're like, guys like Kofi Kingston said, like, yeah, they talked like, yeah, if you knew who the tag team people were and such, you knew how to work the Briscoes, work that style. And my heart goes out to people, Kevin Owens and like Simpson. Those were the people who just worked with them so much, Young, but all of them, man. And the most heartbreaking of this whole thing, they before this whole thing happened, is that I think Darius revealed like a text of like Jay Briscoe texting him saying, looking like, oh man, y'all look great, man. Talk about them, all the stuff. Said one day they wanted to, to actually have that match, and I'm like, oh, that would have been great. But it looks like it's never going to happen, and it's just so hard because they look like they gave so much. They would have gave them, even if they win or lose, they gave much to give credibility and legitimacy to any tag team. And heck, even the singles run of just Jay Briscoe being the guy there, being that championship, being that person to build up. And man, and I look at someone like Adam Cole, as he's breaking up. I bet Jay Lethal's hurting. All these guys who've been in the Ring of Honor for so long, all roads led to the Briscoes, and they're hurting, man. And Mark finally getting an AEW, and him probably wearing the Ring of Honor tag belts, both on his straps or whatever, is gonna just,
I'm getting choked up thinking about it, man. Just like him coming out, just hearing the reach for the sky and stuff like that. Oh man, I'm being dead honest here. Like normally, I don't really say this about matches that are can't miss. Mark Briscoe versus Jay Lethal on Dynamite. That is a can't miss match. That is like one of those matches I need to watch it. Like normally my AEW watching, I like DVR so I can fast forward through the picture-in-picture, the TV and stuff and whatnot. Like I like a lot of times I don't watch AEW live because I like the DVR experience. That's just me. Maybe I hurt the rating a little bit because I DVR it. Sorry, Uncle Tony. But other than that, I like this match. I gotta see live. I gotta see how the crowd is. I'll be shocked if this doesn't main event. Like I feel like this is the real main event of AEW Dynamite for me at least. I'll be like so upset on my drive home if Mark Briscoe. I might have to watch it just like I did with Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega. I might have to just put that on my Bluetooth and watch it as I'm driving home, because if that match is on while I'm driving home, I'm gonna be so upset because I cannot miss this match live, man. It's gonna be crazy.
That's what it is. And
I think this is gonna open. I think they're gonna open with this.
Opening's fine. I still have time in the office. I'm talking about the time I get out of the office and I have to drive back.
It's gonna be an opening, and there's not gonna be anyone. Like I said, it's gonna be a very emotional moment, and I feel, man, I hope whatever Mark Briscoe does, he gets all his support. And I think at the end of the day, I don't know what because if he just says, you know what, I'm done, then I'm like, okay, if this is his last match, then so be it. If it's wanting to do something more like later down on the road, okay. Because I want to make sure, I just want to see what he, want to make sure is that he is mentally, physically okay. Because he lost his brother, the day before his birthday, man. Yeah. And it's
rough too, because and if you think about it, that's all he's gonna think about on his birthday is that I lost my brother. It's like that's
what it is. And now I hope if he does retire, whatever Hall of Fame or whatever, they both get in, and there's no questions. It's like, yeah, they're in. I don't care. They're in, and call it the Jay Briscoe tournament, which you'll probably have in Supercard of Honor, or Best in the World, or whatever later date. He can just appear and just give the titles there and like a trophy, but make it an annual thing. Because the Briscoe, if this is the last time we see Mark Briscoe in the ring and he decides to hang up, go back to the farm, raise his kids and raise his brother's kids and all that. They look like they have a tight family, So that's gonna be a good. I hope that happens. So you know what? I just hope that the family's heels. And they heal, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good, man. That's all I say.
Yeah, I know. There was a report. I think it was PW Insider had said that Mark Briscoe was actually chipper recently. They said he was actually in really good spirits. He had said he finally put out a comment, and he just said, "God is on the throne." That's all I gotta say. So
yeah, that's cool. That's
I
cool.
think, and this is just going to come from me as a wrestling fan, and part of it, like, I think that it's a testament to how much he loves wrestling that he's a week later. It's 8 days later that he's going to be working a match. He's listed as a Ring of Honor Tag Champion. So, I mean, I want him to do what's best for him and whatever he's got to do for himself. I could see that this is him trying to move forward and see, can I do this? Seeing like, okay, is this something that I want to do? And also this match, this match is to pay tribute to Jay Briscoe, using Jay Lethal, who was, they were together for a really long time in Ring of Honor.
I mean, I don't know how long, how long Jay Lethal's been there. Is like, Jay Lethal, him, all of them just stayed there,
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all in Ring of Honor for a long time, and this is like I said, this is like the perfect, like Jay Briscoe tribute match. Like the only way you can get it any better is if it was a tag team match, and the other team on the other side was Kevin Steen and El Generico. That's the only way you can make this perfect.
I think if you did, I think the only other two options I could think that would be fitting is if you did Mark Briscoe versus Kevin Steen, or you did Mark Briscoe versus Amazing Red.
Yeah. That's
that first match.
Yeah. Man. And by the way, people who are saying that the Ring of Honor, the dog collar match was that last match. No, the last match was at House of Glory versus the main event. I think that's Amazing Red's promotion. I think that's bought by Master P, which is just a weird sentence to say. But yeah, that was their last match, and I haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure it was probably great.
Yeah, because their last two matches, they had that Ring of Honor match, then like a week or two later, they had the House of Glory match. So yeah, I think a lot of people, just because House of Glory just kind of goes under the radar sometimes, a lot of people just remember that as being like the last, because that's the last big match that they had, last pay-per-view. Because that was just, I think the House of Glory match was just on Fight Plus. So a lot of people are going to view that as his last match. I mean, yeah, it wasn't, but I don't blame anybody for not realizing it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it is. I mean, yeah. But yeah, this was a hard 8 days, and the memories and every, like, the moments and such, it's just so, you don't know when you're going to be checking out, man. It's just always make sure that you get right with the people you are close to.
I agree. I agree with that, man. Like you can't no time for ill will in this world, man. I hope Mark Briscoe he pulls a nah, them boys are still the tag team champions, and he goes on like he tries to defend the belts by himself and run. I see him doing that. He's that type of cat, man, and I will enjoy it. And the crowd will be emotional every match because they won't want Mark Briscoe to lose too. Like now, like just imagine if you have to be the team to beat him. Oh, you would get booed out the building.
Triple threat match, baby. That's what you gotta do. They don't take the pin, and that's it.
No, you gotta. Mark Briscoe will say, "No, I want to get pinned," because that's how the Briscoes were, man. The Briscoes were always those guys. Like they knew their role, not only as the faces of the company, but they also knew that hey, we also are the guys that help build the stars of the company and stuff like that. So the Briscoes knew what they were doing. They're some of the smartest minds in wrestling. I think so. I think they're very smart.
They were. And the thing is, I mean, I'm sure they would have probably been fine in NXT, the main roster on WWE. I expected them to probably be like Heavy Machinery and break up, separate by the WWE draft, break up and feud. One of them turns heel and then next year don't feud, and then the other guy gets released for no reason, which, par for the course of most tag teams in WWE. But like I said, the Briscoes, probably the best independent tag team, and I feel like they were just close. So close to really hitting that. And I think if Jay Briscoe was still here, they would probably been, like I said, double nothing. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if he was still here. He'd be like, everybody, like, why y'all crying and everything, man? Why y'all, the tears and everything else, man? Like, I'm fine, man. Work over my kids and everything else, man.
Like Mark said, God's on the throne now. God's on the throne now. So, moving on to the next subject real quick. We're going to be quick thoughts on Raw XXX, Raw 30. Raw celebrated its 30th anniversary. Crazy, man. First episode was in 1993. Now it's 2023.
I watched the first one. I was there from the beginning of Raw. Yes, I am old. I don't care. But anyway, when I was a little kid, in fact, I watched Raw and the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like back and forth. And it was like weird to see how this show grew over time and just how different generations. And Raw 30, let's see. The only positive spot was the Bloodline segment. I watched some of it. It was really good. I mean, Sami Zayn has just a connection with the audience, and I'm like, you know what? I feel really bad for Cody right now because all that babyface energy is now on Sami Zayn. So, and we could talk about this later. But it seems like he might be Cody Rhodes. It might be like the Batista of the 2014.
I'm not
that might
be entertain that.
It might be that point because Sammy is so popular and loved. Yeah, Seth Rollins now loved. Where does Cody is? If Cody is going to win, he might actually eliminate Sammy and such, and he's not going to get. He's going to be booed out that building.
Kaden, will you be booing Our American Nightmare when you're at the Royal Rumble this Saturday?
I will be screaming every word to that song, The Kingdom by Downstate. I love that song. And at WrestleMania, I was singing my guts out, but I lost my voice that weekend.
Oh, wow.
By that point, I had gone to every show I could possibly go to, and the last straw for me was actually FTR Briscoe's. I was screaming for 30 straight minutes because I was cheering for both guys. So when there were the FTR, let's go Briscoe's, FTR, I was screaming all words. Like I was cheering for both teams. So I had no voice. So and you can hear him in my video. I just go,
this is why you always bring a bit of that lemon juice with you. You just like take a little bit of lemon juice.
Yeah, now I know.
Yeah, it works. That's how I got my voice back after Dynamite and stuff.
I felt like shit after that.
What you think?
And that's why I always pace myself. That's the most important thing. Pace yourself.
I can't. I'm bad. I get FOMO.
What did you think of Raw XXX?
Raw is XXX. I call it Raw as porn. I actually thought it was a really fun show. Do I think it was like? I don't think it was amazing. I don't think it was like spectacular or anything. I thought it was fun, and that's all I needed. I did not like when I see Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and Road Dogg, people who personally I'm just not a fan of. I see them, and they start the show with Hogan, of course, because of course they had to do that. The one person I hate the most. They had to start the show with
the guy who barely had any Monday Night Raw memories, and so
I know he was barely on Raw. He was literally on Nitro. Like that's some bullshit.
Yeah, right. He was on Raw, SmackDown, and Nitro. Like barely on Raw, SmackDown, and then like the '90s, he was like.
I think his best Raw moment is where he tried. Where Randy Orton came out and he was trying to date Brooke Hogan, and Brooke wasn't even. I don't even think Brooke was of age at that time.
Don't worry, they saved that storyline for Impact Wrestling. And we all know how that turned out.
Yeah, no, but Randy Orton came out, and then afterwards it was just like he was trying to date Brooke, and then it turned out that like he actually wants to face Hogan at SummerSlam, and so then Orton RKO'd Hogan on the car. I think that's Hogan's best Raw moment. I can't think of
any.
Yeah, because I can't even think of anything else. Because all the good stuff was on SmackDown when he was Captain America, and they were trying to figure out if he was Hulk Hogan or not, and he would pass the lie detector test and stuff.
Honestly,
and the Brock Lesnar match too. Also on SmackDown.
And Hogan. And the one thing I think Raw 30, I think some people are pissed off, and they had a lovely hashtag, give WWE women a chance and something like that when Becky and Bailey's match didn't happen. I think a lot of people were pissed off. Me, I wasn't really. I was like, I mean, come on, this is WWE. Are you actually surprised of them not actually fulfilling something?
Let me. I do have the Fightful Select report because they put out a report about this. So Becky and Bailey, it was really weird. It was abrupt. Bailey was already in the cage. Becky had come out and entered, and then Damage Control beat her down, and they just never did the match. Apparently, according to Fightful Select, the trial segment went too long, and they told Becky and Bailey, they're like, okay, you guys can either do a 2-minute match, or you can save this match for later, and we'll do an angle. I have a lot of issues with this. I just have issues with how the women were handled last night. The Bellas, for some reason, did not end up going. They were planned for the show, weren't there. They had a Lunger Blaze Medusa. That was the only person the women's legend they brought in. Nothing. Lita was planned for the show. There was a report from PW Insider. Lita was planned for the show. Wasn't there either. Molly Holly, I'm pretty sure she still works for them. Where's Kelly Kelly? Kelly Kelly's got some great Raw moments. I'm sure Trish doesn't want to travel, and you're saving Beth for something else for Mania. You're saving her return for later.
Rumble, probably.
I get them too, but you could have brought in you could have brought in some other people. You could have even brought in Natalya.
Yeah,
have her on your roster. I guess she's injured, but still, it's still a living women's legend in Natalya. I think there's so much more they could have done. I mean, they could have cut down that DX segment, which honestly, they had a reunion a couple of weeks ago. They did just have their big DX reunion. That's why I was so confused. I looked at the rating after the DX segment. They dropped 400,000 viewers. I think a lot of people really wanted to see DX, so I get why you didn't cut that.
I mean,
you could have cut some of that, the trios match, because they didn't advertise that trios match. You could have cut it, and nobody would have known. You could have cut Bianca's match with Sonya Deville. That had no business being on the show.
No, yeah, that's a SmackDown.
And even what did Sonya lose? I didn't watch that. Did she lose, by the way?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was for the title. I think it was for the Raw
title. How quick was it? Was it how long?
It was 2 segments. They got 2 segments. I would have just had Charlotte come out. And then, because they brought out Bianca and do the champ thing, and then end it there. Just see.
Test the waters. Test the waters. And by the way, the hashtag was hashtag WWE Women Deserve Better, and they do. But the problem is that you have these the people behind the scenes. They don't see They don't build their women's roster. I mean, there's a reason why Naomi and Sasha Banks, now Mercedes Moné, dropped their women's tag belts in front of Vince and such. They didn't think they thought they deserved better, and they do deserve better. And honestly, the best way they can do that is actually start booking not just their women strong, the main event strong, but also the people in the mid card and all that stuff. Build them up. Actually start building them up and actually do something with them that is meaningful. If not, what's the point? And by the way, it's hilarious because, by the way, this is a 3-hour show, by the way, right? It's still a 3-hour show, and they still can't do this. And even better, the ending of Lashley and Theory had Brock Lesnar show up, and then after that, the interference, it just, we're done. Bye. I'm like, what? What? Time management. It's been all all this stuff about the no overrun, and they still can't get it done right. They still can't do it. What is wrong with this company and time management? I don't know.
Yeah, so it was a 3-hour show with a fully commercial-free first hour.
Yep.
They had about 50 minutes of in-ring for a 3-hour show. They had 4 matches, and the women's match, very clearly by about 5 minutes, was the shortest match on the show. It has Bianca Belair versus Sonya Deville has a 2.96 rating on Cage Match. That match is getting bombarded. It was horrible. I sat through that. It was god awful.
And that's a great way to build up your women's SmackDown. Number one contender for the women's title. By the way, isn't that great to just make them look like fools and having them bad matches? That's just perfect.
Hunter doesn't know how to book women. He doesn't know what he's doing.
You just put them in good matches when they were in NXT, and people thought that was enough.
NXT just had good talent. I think that.
He just told them to wrestle. That's it. He was like, go out there and wrestle.
Yeah. All you have to do in NXT is just tell them, hey, go have a good match.
Yeah, exactly.
It was Ring of Honor light. He took these guys who were great on the indie scene, and he used his coaches with Matt Bloom and just said, okay, go get in the ring, go have a good match. Barely, he told a few stories, but anything in NXT that was a good story was not a good story because of what Hunter booked. It was because of the in-ring, and that's how they built their stories. And so I think now that he's on the main roster, he has to actually build, and he can't fucking do it.
To be fair, he did Hunter did one thing that Vince always seemed to do, love to do, is basically destroy any other competition. Hi, NXT UK. You basically killed the entire UK wrestling scene for another 30 years. Brilliant stuff there. I remember how bad the attendance were when they're you're going to shows and such. We love NXT UK. Everybody was talking about NXT UK. No one showed up. This is before the pandemic. They were barely selling out small arenas and such. It was just a complete afterthought. And now they want to do NXT Europe. Isn't that going to be fun? Isn't that going to be so much fun to have a bigger, bloated NXT UK where no one watches and wastes so much money that honestly, their new overlords, whoever sells or anything else, will probably look at it and say, what the heck are y'all doing? And just say, this thing, it's on. It's over. They're gonna be some cuts here. And the NXT takeover, that little map he has and everything else, it's done. And Shawn, I remember that interview. Shawn Michaels said he wanted to do an NXT Afghanistan or NXT Spain. I'm like, shut up. Shut up. No one wants to see that. No one cares. And quite honestly, no one's going to actually buy, watch a network for NXT Afghanistan. No one's going to watch NXT Spain. No one's going to watch these. Not even their own countries are going to watch them. It's just bloat for the sake of bloat.
So I enjoyed Raw 30. I thought Raw 30 was a good show. I just looked at it as it was a fun nostalgia. It didn't do anything storyline wise except for the bloodline. Obviously, the best story in professional wrestling, in my opinion. Sami Zayn's great. Roman Reigns is great. Just Jey Uso coming in and saving Sami Zayn from getting Samoan spiked was amazing. And then the tag team match, that right there.
That was emotion. Was great.
Everyone, when they tell me about this is wrestling, I go, no. That's wrestling. This is the wrestling I like. Look, I enjoy my Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega instant classics like the next guy. But when everyone tries to copy and paste Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, I say, no, you guys are not them. You don't get it. You'll never be them. You can try to be them, but you're not them. What you need to do is do what Sami Zayn does, because Sami Zayn, he's evolved so much as a performer. It's amazing how great he is right now. And he's on a great run. He's on a run where I wouldn't be upset if he won the Rumble and, they ruin and they find a way to get him in to a match at Mania. I think he would be fine as a WrestleMania main eventer. Obviously, WrestleMania has evolved over time. It's not what most people think WrestleMania is now. It's more of just like a media place where, hey, let's get the biggest names possible. Let's get the biggest show possible. Let's sell out 100,000 seat stadiums. That's WrestleMania now. But I would not mind if Sami Zayn does get a shot at the world title. But that leans on, as Duke talked about, with WWE possibly selling. As we all know, Vince McMahon did his corporate takeover to come back and be the main executive of the WWE. And it looks like WWE may sell sooner than we think. We don't know when, but it seems like they're going to sell. They partnered with JP Chase. Great job. Thank you. I enjoy getting more money from you, WWE. So thank you. So they partnered with JP Chase, and they're going to look to do a sale. We had a weird rumor that came out that apparently WWE already sold to the Saudis, and that was something that, just went by like, oh, no. It was bad when WWE was like, all right, Nick Khan, you got to go do the Bill Simmons podcast. We need you to shut down this rumor right away. And Nick Khan did the Bill Simmons podcast and answered a lot of questions on that podcast and stuff. Really good listen if you haven't heard that one. Bill Simmons, I thought he asked pretty strong questions towards a friend of his, which was interesting. I thought it was a very interesting which questions he asked him and stuff, but a very good listen from one Bill Simmons. He normally doesn't do a good job overall as a podcaster, but when it comes to interviewing interesting guys, he does a good job listening to what they have to say and actually challenging their answers. But it seems like WWE may sell soon, and a potential sale is on the horizon. Kaden, do you have any inkling of who they may sell to? Or are you interested? Are you rooting for anyone for them to sell to? Is there like a dog you're rooting for? Or do you just like not care about them selling whatsoever?
I don't care who they sell to. I'm interested. To be honest, I think it'd be really fucking funny if they sold to the Saudis. I will laugh. Like, I like chaos. I will laugh my ass off, and then I'll just be really sad because of the talent and what could be the implications there. Because there could be some potentially like actual life-changing implications for some talent. But I am still. Chase, I've been on the horse that I really do not think it's Disney. I think that they have their own issues. I believe they're still paying off the Fox acquisition.
Dumbest thing they ever did.
Yeah, they're still paying a lot of that off because then they got hit with COVID. They're having to pay Chapek a lot of money to get him out of the company. And then they're having to pay Iger, which I don't think they've had to disclose yet how much they're paying him, but we're going to find out soon.
And they have to be paying him a lot to get him out of retirement.
That guy out of retirement who's 70-something has been trying to retire for 10 years now. His original retirement was 2015 and never did it. I really just don't think it's Disney. I don't think they want to get involved in something like this. I just don't see them wanting to do this type of content. I know the appeal that a lot of people say about wrestling is, it's cheap content. You're going to make your money back really quickly. Cool. Maybe you'll make your money back quickly, but the conversation isn't how quickly are you going to make your money back? It's can you afford it, and do you want to take this on? Because it is a lot to manage a wrestling company. And I think that that's why I believe that a company like Endeavor, I think, is a big dark horse that they get the financials to do it. I think NBC Comcast, I still think is a really solid option. I could see them acquiring and then picking a group to head up and then kind of have it like, because there's Comcast and then you have underneath, you have Universal, you have NBC, you have these different branches. I could see that type of company saying, okay, let's put Triple H in charge and he's going to do this. Let's try to get Stephanie back. I don't think Nick Khan stays, but you could take some people out.
For anyone who wants to know what Nick Khan does, this is what Nick Khan does.
He's here for
he helps you sell a company. That's Nick Khan's strongest asset and stuff. That's what he's good for. I won't be surprised if Nick Khan goes to another company and you're like, wait, Nick Khan, and guess what Nick Khan's gonna do? He's gonna sell that company too. He's gonna help that company get a sale going.
I could just see them like kind of putting together a group of like, I get a few people from the wrestling industry, maybe even bring in like a Bischoff. I think it'd be kind of cool. You could get Bischoff in, and then you give a few people that are real, like that are actually in the business, like actual businessmen, and then you put together a group, and that's who you have run WWE, and then Comcast just oversees it and all of that. But they really kind of let them run on their own. They just own it. I think that's more likely than Disney. Disney is going to, they like to be very hands-on. I don't see them wanting to be hands-on. I don't see, I think Amazon's potential, just don't see it with where they're going. I think they're more interested in license than owning. I think they're more likely to be a TV partner. If WWE decides not to sell and to do the licensing again, I could see them wanting to get the PLEs if the Peacock deal expires. And then who are the other ones are Netflix, no chance in hell.
Yeah,
they don't have the money.
Yeah, they're burning through their own stuff. They can't even keep a show going for more than one season now. They're canceling good TV shows.
Yeah, and stuff, Sean. So. If Sean Ross Sapp sees this, I love you, Sean. That's you keep saying Netflix. That's a stupid idea. No chance. And then I think those are the main ones. I feel like is there anyone I'm missing, Chase?
Warner. People talk about Warner Discovery, but
they
forget. I mean, you got to understand what Warner Discovery is. This. They had how much was that Batwoman movie that they made a Batwoman movie that was pretty much finished. Batgirl. It was like what, 80 million? Batgirl? It was Batgirl, 95
million, and they just decided because it was
they're just like,
we're just gonna eat that. We're just gonna take the tax cut.
They're just like, we'll just eat this cat. They, like that, and then they had a Scooby-Doo movie. They had two movies that they were like, yep, these are gonna make us a lot of money, and they're like, nope, screw that. I mean, it's so bad that they're just like, oh, okay, this Flash movie, it has to make it. It's going to make it for us. Like that's where they're at. So Warner Brothers Discovery, obviously Tony Khan and Shad Khan, they're the ones that a lot of people talk about. Very interesting, but they would have to get a group together. Yeah. The Rock also would have to get a group together, but if The Rock does purchase WWE, it would just be, he's the minority owner. He would literally own only like 4%. You know what? Just because he's The Rock, he would own 7% of the company. You know, started with $7, and now he owns 7%.
I'm gonna throw out a far-fetched idea. There's been rumors lately that Ryan Reynolds is interested in acquiring the Ottawa Senators because they're trying to sell.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's an investment firm that comes together to acquire, and their two heads are Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson.
That could happen.
I think because they're friends.
Oh yeah, they're good friends.
Red Notice and all of that. I think that because I mean Ryan owns Wrexham, he owns Mint Mobile, he owns Aviation Gin. He has a lot of projects, and he likes.
And they could get one more other person too.
Yeah, and especially if he buys the Ottawa Senators, that's a big thing to buy. If that actually ends up happening, I could see that happening. I mean, there's a million questions. Like, what's the potential that somehow Tony Khan and Shad get the money? They give because I've been saying this. I understand a lot of people think there's no way in hell Vince sells to Shad and Tony.
Yeah.
The reality is, if they give the best offer,
they're going to take it.
Doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
He has a legal fiduciary duty to his shareholders, and if he doesn't, I don't think there's a lot that like all these class actions threatening to be or that have actually been filed. Bullshit. There's no grounds on this. I think the only one where there's legit grounds on is if he decided to not sell to the Khans because he just doesn't personally like them. That could cause him to get
exactly.
Well, I saw my tweet and such. And then I made a tweet about this when the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim said they were the Morano family was like, he's going to sell the team, but then they realized no, they just said no, we're going to continue the ownership throughout the 2023 and beyond. I'm betting this is probably what's going to happen with WWE and such, because Vince does want power. He wants power, and honestly, he is a nuclear waste field, just toxic. And the only people who would like the toxic stuff and don't mind is probably the Saudis. They might do it or not. But I just see him just like, you know what? Had a change of heart. I got my power back. We're not selling. Bye. It's all over. I think that is probably what's going to happen, is that he's going to pull back once he's back into the creative stuff, and once he could just negotiate a good television deal, he is not going to be. I don't think he's going to sell at the end of the day. I think that he's going to be.
I disagree with that because I think he wants to sell. I think Stephanie and Triple H didn't want to sell the company because WWE doesn't really need to sell to make money. I think
Vince still make money.
Yeah, I think Vince wants money. I think he wants to sell to own a lot of money. I think Vince wants power, like you said, but he wants to get the most money possible to regain the power. Because like any company that buys WWE can make it private. Guess what? Vince doesn't have to talk to a legal board anymore. Doesn't have to talk to shareholders. He can just make himself in power again. So I feel like it's
which company is going to take that hit? I don't think any company is going to take that hit right now.
I think you'd be surprised how many.
You think Disney's going to take that hit right now?
I don't think they're going to buy in general.
Yeah, I don't think. Like, here's the thing. I think they will sit down. No, I think they will sit down. They'll say, "Look, this is the one thing we want. We want Triple H as the face of the company, just like how Dana White's the face of the UFC. They'll want Triple H as the face of the company. Vince, you can be whatever, but as long as Triple H, you keep this promise of Triple H being this guy for us, the mediary, the face. When people think of WWE, they think, oh, it's Triple H. You'll be good to go." Because that's the thing. I think there's a lot of companies. I think Comcast will take the hit because they have a great relationship with WWE. They know what they like. Pretty much their Peacock Premium is carried by WWE's PLEs. That's pretty much what Peacock
but that's
Premium is carried by.
And even then, Peacock is not the most profitable streaming service, and it's like still lagging behind. I just think that if WWE does sell, it's probably going to be either Comcast because, you know, not only they are just the connection and everything else, but also they have, you know, Sky Broadcasting, which they got, you know, in that whole mystery Cell thing back in when the Disney Fox deal was taking place.
Yep.
I think that's going to be, you know, to say, hey, we got easier way to get to more customers via Sky and, you know, in the UK and Europe and all that type of stuff. That's probably one thing. Saudis, same thing. They could continue doing their sports washing thing with no little conscience because they have the most dollars to do so and keep that stuff private. I don't, you know, maybe an investment firm can do, you know, Rock or someone else to do it. I think they'd be the face. But again, it comes with the whole, like I said, it comes with Vince McMahon. And just recently he had to buy a settlement with Rita Chapman. And that's going to be in that huge, you know, it's still around there. And brands and everything else are going to be looking like saying, do you want to do deals with this company? When their figurehead, and the person creative, you know, doing all these sexual assaults, which are still ongoing.
I'll say this: a lot of brands and a lot of companies and a lot of these medias did deals with our former U.S. president, who has way more baggage than Vince and Kenny McMahon. So I don't think that's the issue. I think they just look at WWE and they say this is one of the most powerful media empire. Because here's the thing. We saw it with the Power Slap League. The rating that show got, it shows this is why wrestling is such an important medium. Because wrestling still draws interest no matter what people say. Like when you get people saying this, that, or the other, there's a reason why WWE is on Peacock. Because some of their most restreamed events are those WrestleMania Night 1 events, is the WrestleMania Night 2, are those WWE documentaries, are those WWE shows. People watch those shows. Wrestling is an important medium. And they're going to look at it like this. Hey, whatever. This guy, he's old. It is what it is. We'll take the hit for that one. It's like the NBA when people buy an NBA team or something. Hey, we'll take a hit of the bad history of this team. You don't think Steve Ballmer took a hit when he bought the Clippers? He definitely took a hit because it's not like everything that old owner, who I'm not going to say the name of, was still washed away from that organization. You know, there was still some stench in that organization when he bought it. So that's why for me, I look at it like this. People are going to just say, hey, screw it. We're going to take a hit. We know what we're getting ourselves into. We know what we're going to get with Vince McMahon. But the return on investment on WWE in the long run is so much better than like, oh, we got to deal with Vince McMahon. Like that's how they're going to look at. That's how they're going to look at it.
100% agree. Like
it is sadly but true. I do agree.
Companies to finally start pushing out Harvey Weinstein or
I mean,
allegations are all out there.
it is.
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. All these, they have
going to
so
therapy.
much stuff.
How dare you guys?
Yeah, but yeah, that's what it is. It is. They have all this power. They're not going to give it up and everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does. Heck, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised because again, Bob Iger is back in Disney, so he maybe has one bad purchase less in him. He got one more bad purchase in him, and he might just overpay WWE so he could just have, another thing he could throw on ESPN or Hulu or whatever. So they're just gonna have more debt, and he's like, well, I got my purchase, and just leave Disney in a more, because again, Nick Khan did meet with did he meet with him or
he's friends with a lot of the Disney execs, Nick Khan. He
is. Yeah, and that I wouldn't be surprised if Disney does, because again, Bob Iger. Oh, the bad. I mean, if you can't create anything, just buy it. But then again, you'll be even funnier if somehow, because AEW stuff is picking up. What if it was they buy AEW, not AEW, but took the stream rights to AEW, or what, Amazon. I think no one talks about Amazon since they got into NFL. I think WWE or AEW, if they really want to get in the ground for this wrestling thing. So if they really
think
want
with Amazon, they want proven commodities.
I think WWE is proven. So
WWE's proven. AEW for them, they're gonna stay. I think AEW has a long ways to go before we talk about them selling to anything big. Hopefully they'll get on HBO Max soon. That get rid of Bleacher Report crap, and I'll be happy with that. But
I mean, no. They're just going to turn to Max in like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, Max, whatever it's called. But Kaden, the one thing like you mentioned earlier, you said your boss Sean Ross Sapp talked about Netflix being a possibility. Just like Duke said, I can see Netflix also saying, "Fuck it. What else we got to lose? We got to make money somehow. Let's just overpay for WWE now because we think we could get our return on investment, babe." That's what I think Netflix will do.
And then the funny part will be is that after a year, they will cancel Raw after one season, and it will be the most hilarious thing ever.
The thing with Netflix that people don't realize is Netflix in its whole entirety, since its existence, has never once turned a profit. This business has been around for 20 years now. They've never once had a profitable year.
Because you guys are sharing your passwords. How dare you?
Yeah. I don't see... Netflix is never acquired. They don't do that. They do some licensing. They've never acquired anything.
Yeah, I feel like with Netflix, it's one of those things, like, I like the idea of it because Netflix could say, hey, hey, we are one of the best streaming platforms. We need to remind people we're going to get the WWE. A lot of WWE fans, they'll transition over to Netflix. But at the same time, they had WWE stuff on Netflix before. And what are you going to do now?
Multiple documentaries, multiple best matches.
Yeah, I think just the big question is how do they make the money back?
Yeah,
how many wrestling fans are not already subscribed to Netflix? Because if they acquire WWE, are they going to raise their price? Probably not, because it's still a niche product. So then how are they going to make the money back? Because I'm fairly confident 95% of wrestling fans already have it.
Yeah,
and then Netflix.
And then also too, are you going to try to go the route where you're going to air Raw and SmackDown live on your brand, or are you going to still, make deals with Fox, with NBC, with ABC, with
I think
these
Fox,
other companies,
Something
that Fox SmackDown deal, looking reports, it ended really badly for Fox.
It did. No, but I'm saying,
and I think it's going to be Netflix. I think they probably have to take everything.
Yeah,
live events, Raw and SmackDown. Because if they actually said, "Okay, we're going to have Raw and SmackDown on like NBC," and maybe show it like 10 or 20 days later, or the Honor Club with 90 days later, and when they have the stuff there, people are gonna be like, wait, I mean, why am I ordering Netflix and such? Why am I gonna have this this product, which oh my gosh, I gotta go watch this Raw episode. Oh, it's gonna be a 90-day tape delay. Nope, screw it. I'm not gonna watch that. I'm not gonna order Netflix and such. And no one's gonna. I mean, what other stuff that WWE Network is going to put on Netflix? You would say, other than the live events and such, what are they going to actually be like? Okay, what they're going to be excited for?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
Old
saying.
pay-per-view shows.
Well, because Netflix
Old
hasn't
ECW shows.
Netflix hasn't shown. They've tried doing live stuff, and it didn't really work out for them when they tried to do live stuff and this episodic stuff. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I like the idea of Netflix, but at the same time, it's like one of those things where it's like, what are you going to do with that live content that you have? Are you going to change up your whole model and make it live and see if this works?
I don't think so. They should. I wish they were, because again, they were the first ones to do it back in like 06, 07 to really do the streaming. They did it right. They also brought really good shows that they didn't cancel, unlike today. They really were the first, trailblazers of streaming platforms. The problem with Netflix is that everyone else, the crowd, it's too crowded. Heck, I mean, the way they they do shows right now is antiquated. The binging out stuff has become really more of a negative, because you just watch a show in one sitting and you just miss out on all the other stuff, like either it's pro or con. Well, meanwhile, you got HBO Max or Disney Plus or Amazon. They say, okay, our shows are gonna be like weekly or semi-weekly. There's like, okay, we can have like, we can just sit back and marinate on the show. You can sit and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you get that one hit like that weekend. Like, people would love Tiger King for a while, but then after that, it just faded away into the ether. And that's what WWE does not want to have, because you don't want to have shows that just fade away into the ether. You want shows to be like, they care about moments, as they all say, as a marketing department. They want moments. They want things to last forever. Netflix, they're not going to have that. They have a better chance of having it on Peacock or Disney Plus or Amazon. Heck, even on HBO Max, would just be really awkward for the AEW fans and such. But yeah, I just think at the end of the day, Vince probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls out, because he would do that, because he wants power and everything else.
But he won't gain. But the thing is, Duke, he won't have any power if he doesn't sell. Like, I mean, he has power to do whatever, but he still has to answer to a board. I think he just wants the most money possible, and then he can have power. Yeah.
It's gonna be either like one of my crazy thing. It's either he's not gonna sell and keep all the stuff here. He is gonna sell. It's gonna be and probably NPC, or it's gonna be the Saudis. Those are two.
The one thing
those are the only two.
The one thing about the Saudis, a lot of people are not putting into thing is that, do they really want to pay all the shareholders that the money that they're gonna make?
They did the same.
What are you gonna say, Kaden? Your mic is muted once again.
3 times. Oh my god!
But like Live Golf, they paid everybody off.
No, but I'm saying,
they have
want
plenty of money, but you're paying.
Yeah, they do.
You're gonna, if you're Saudi, you're gonna have to overpay first, because then you have to outbid everybody, and they're probably just going to be realistically the last option, just because I don't think Vince and them want the optics of selling to the Saudis, just easily selling it to them. So I think they're gonna have to overbid. So you're probably bidding between $8.5-9 billion, give or take. Plus, you're going to pay out. And right now, the market cap's around $6.5 billion. So you're going to pay out around $6, and probably have to pay a little bit more to give probably just a tiny bit above market value. Probably around, I would say, $7.5 billion. So let's say you're probably paying around $17-18 billion on this deal alone. You're going to then have to get TV rights. Are you going to be able to secure TV rights? Because Live Golf, their TV rights are with the CW. How much money does that TV channel have? Realistically, how much money do they really have? Like,
they're a Warner channel, and how are you
going to make money? I just don't see this realistically happening, because they have the money to burn if they want to burn it. I just don't. I think it's a bad. And I can't believe I'm giving the Saudis advice. It's a shitty idea for them.
No, it's horrible. Like, them buying it is just them buying it because they have a good relationship with WWE and stuff like that. And here's the thing, they buy it. There's no guarantee that NBC will be like, NBC's fine with them doing a crown jewel event. They don't care about that. But Saudi's owning the whole damn thing, and they don't even know what's going to be on their product. I don't know. Maybe NBC backs off a little bit. Fox is definitely not going to want to do that, especially if their deal was bad with WWE. So where do you go look into? Do you look at ESPN? Do you do what UFC does, and you try to do something on ESPN's channel services? I don't know. So that's something that they definitely have to look at. And ESPN would be a good idea too if they want to sell their content there, because ESPN has all this horrible shit on their afternoon lineups that no one cares about anyways, especially if you watch like Saturdays. They can have reruns of Raw or SmackDown play instead. That would probably do better numbers and do better advertisement in the long run. But we'll move on to another subject real quick. It seems like Dwayne put his $7 in his pocket. Man, it looks like he may not make it to WrestleMania as a wrestler. He might be there, but it looks like... Why are you applauding? You didn't want to see Dwayne?
No, I don't want to see any old wrestlers in the main event of WrestleMania anymore. It's funny how this company builds up. He made fun of WCW relying on past stars, but this is actually, they do this on steroids on WWE. You got The Rock facing Roman Reigns. The last time The Rock actually, faced him a full match, he basically screw up his hamstring or whatever, and it's tore his thing off the bone and such, and I'm like, no. And I was there in Texas. I like Stone Cold. It was nice to see him, but I'm like, no, it's time for this thing to end. They need young stars. They need their current roster. It's just, it tells me that their roster is shit. And that is their way of using legends. I'm like, well, Raw 30, they did a good job. I'm like, that's one night. Majority of the time, Goldberg was not just a two-time Universal Champion. Think about that for a second. Goldberg is a multi-time Universal Champion.
I don't have a problem with it.
And you know what? And what did he beat? He beat Kevin Owens, and he beat
The Fiend.
Yes. Clean. What does that tell you about their WWE's trust in their roster?
I don't know, because I've seen other companies, have older guys beat their... What does it say about the TNA's trust in their roster, or AEW's trust with, Jericho being their first champion? That to me, I don't care if legends come back and win and stuff. I get what you're saying, but for WrestleMania, I'm okay if you do a legend versus a top star match. I feel like this is the issue. WWE burned through Roman and Cena. Like they messed up on the Roman and Cena timing, because this would have been a perfect Roman versus Cena type of match, where at least Cena, he's been around, a good while and stuff. But of course, the first time they did it, they were like, okay, we're going to the Staples Center. We're not selling tickets because we have an oversized goof who shouldn't even be in the main event taking on Brock Lesnar, and we have to have something on this card. And then they rushed it again because of COVID. They're like, oh, well, we're doing half the stadium. We're doing half of Allegiant Stadium for SummerSlam. So we better
that
do
stadium. Oh man, the stories about that.
I was there.
I'm like, oh, you saw what happened. I mean, the food went down. The
the Wi-Fi went down. I got free food. I'm not complaining. You may laugh, but I wasn't complaining. I was happy. I was great. I got free beer, free water.
But yeah, it just I felt like, again, the WWE has a problem with their young talent. And I'm like, I look at this, and for example, the NXT signing of Dragon Lee, I'm like, no, he shouldn't be in the NXT. He should be on the main roster. He's 27 years old.
Heavy disagree.
No, follow me. Follow me.
There's a reason why it's a performance center. There's a guy named Mystico who felt he was the hottest shit since sliced bread, that refused to go to FCW, and that scarred Triple H for life. That he told his father-in-law they needed to build this money pit in the performance center so these people can learn how to wrestle, because Mystico was an embarrassment. Dragon Lee's
Oh,
great.
yes.
No, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
but-
Dragon Lee's great, but he definitely needs at least a little bit of polishing before making
But
it
the
to the main
problem
roster.
is that, is that it's a stopgap. That's why in NXT, when Triple H, it just got bloated. Is that you have all this talent, and they never really went to the main roster. They got overbloated with Johnny
Because
Gargano,
a lot of them didn't
Adam
want to
Cole,
go. A lot of them were just like, screw it, we want to stay.
It's the problem, like, the high school issue. Like, I want to stay in high school forever. No, you got to grow and grow. But also the main issue is that the main roster is terrible. And guess who books the main roster? That's the main issue. And if you, and I truly believe this, is that, and I do believe this, that this NXT, they need to be, it's a proving ground. And honestly, there's a lot of talent there that should not be there right now. They should be in the main roster. Braun Breaker, Carmella Hayes, heck, I would say Von Wagner deserves to be somewhere in the mid card of WWE, right now. Joe Gacy. There's so much talent there. It is slowly getting log jam, slowly happening. And if you have Dragon Lee there, it's just going to keep building and building. And you pretty much going to have to force some of these guys to go out to that main roster. If not, you're just going to have the same issue. Multiple guys in their 40s in WWE in high profile spots.
So,
and you need to have young, you need to have the youth. That's what AEW is right now. It's kicking WWE's ass right now. They have young talent that they can put in the main event right now. Ricky Starks should put him an AEW champion right now. You could put Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara.
You may want to watch that. I'm good.
But here's the messed up part.
Especially not Sammy Guevara.
But whatever.
You may say AEW has main. I don't think AEW has many young guys ready. Because if you're saying they do, why are we getting Danielson versus MJF at Revolution?
But no.
No. You're saying they do. Then why aren't we getting Jungle Boy, who had pretty much a blood feud with Christian? Ended a tag team blood feud with Luchasaurus. Wouldn't you think he should be built up and be the next guy in the main event? But no, instead
that's going to happen.
Is it?
I believe it is.
Really?
But let me just say this.
No, I don't think it is.
Can I just say this about MJF?
What AEW does with their pay-per-views?
He does not put trust in his young guys to carry a main event feud. He's never done that.
Yeah,
I will.
Look, for Winter is Coming. For St. Patrick's Slam, yes, we will see Jungle Boy in the main event. But for Double or Nothing or Revolution, AEW treats like how WWE treats, where they say we got to get the biggest names possible.
Yes, but I want to say this about MJF. How old is MJF right now?
26.
He is the youngest champion. I think the youngest crowd champion since, I believe, John Cena. Since John Cena was 27 years old.
No, it's Randall.
Randy Orton, 24.
Randall Keith.
Oh yeah, but you know what I'm saying? That was back in 04 and 03. But my statement is that WWE, could you imagine MJF WWE 26 years old right now, would he be WWE or Universal Champion?
Well, the way they're pushing Austin Theory, yeah.
Really?
Better Austin Theory.
Please. Austin Theory is a complete they say Darren back again. He's the US champion, but also
if Vince was in charge, he would have had that belt by now.
Because Austin Theory was on a very, very favorable track record.
Austin Theory, when he found that egg, he was sucking off Vince on his knees in that room.
Oh yeah. But yeah, here's the thing though, is that the problem with WWE is that they have such an issue with young talent. They have an issue of building up young talent. And it's been that way for so many years. And it's just that when I look at AEW, I look at Impact, I look at New Japan, I look at all the stuff, what they're doing with their young talent. They're not making
New Japan's not building anybody.
I know that.
What is New Japan build? I'm going to say Impact Wrestling, sure, I could give you a pass on that. New Japan, they've been
Impact's main event just had Bully Ray, or their biggest match.
That's true.
Hard to kill. But Bully Ray and Mickey James, they have built anybody.
And I know, New Japan, all they do is say, which outsider just left? All right, let's just replace him with Will. Like Kenny Omega left. All right, Jay White, you go in. Jay White, you're leaving. Ospreay, you're in there. And then they have the same Japanese people on top. Like, dude.
It's like, okay, Okada's here. Okada, Tanahashi, go have a match. Naito, go wrestle Okada again. G1's coming up. Do we have
White?
No. Do we have Okada? Yes. Oh yeah, Okada, you're winning the G1.
Yeah, but Jay White. Do you think if Kenny Omega stayed, Jay White is Jay White?
No, Jay White only got to that level because Kenny Omega left.
That's what I'm trying to say. They only
get these guys. Right? Prince Devitt leaves. AJ Styles took his role. AJ Styles leaves. Kenny Omega took his role. Kenny Omega leaves. Jay White took his role, and Will Ospreay started to fill that role as well because Jay White was doing a lot of work in the States. Now Jay White's probably going to leave too.
And now Will Ospreay's there.
Will Ospreay to really fill in that role. They always do this. They don't build guys. New Japan's never built guys. They're starting to. I will say they are getting better because they finally started a dojo. Because Shibata with the LA dojo, who knows how long that's going to go because he's on his way out. And they built people, right? Yuya Mura, Kevin Knight. They have Fred Rosser, Kushida.
But I'm trying to make a point.
Done some dojo work. So they have some guys coming out of the dojo now. But they look at who's held that belt in the last 2 years.
If Jungle Boy main events Double or Nothing or Darby Allin, I will eat the one chip live next time we have a show, and I'll be like,
man.
No, but
I love you too much. Don't do that.
I am saying I am confident. I am more confident CM Punk will main event against MJF again this year than any of your young talent that you tell me will main event.
The only thing I'll challenge that is
Dax Harwood has a better shot at main event against MJF than any of these young guys you talk about.
I think it's possible they co-main event Double or Nothing with CMFTR versus the Elite as your marquee match.
No, that's the main event.
Your world championship match is the Four Pillars all against each other. I think that they could sell the pay-per-view.
But that doesn't mean them as the main event.
Chase. I think that they can sell the pay-per-view on Punk versus the Elite.
Yeah.
Get away with doing a smaller main event match because remember Double or Nothing 2021. Their main event was Kenny Omega, Orange Cassidy, and Pac. That's not a big marquee match.
That wasn't the main event.
And remember, All Out 2021.
Stampede.
All Out, but the main event title match. But All Out 2021, the real full up 100% main event. Kenny Omega versus Christian. The second time they did it. That was not the seller of that pay-per-view. Yeah. The seller was CM Punk, which was 2 matches before.
I think Tony Khan.
They are known to put if they want their main event to be a little lesser, which they've done in the past, where they've done Orange Cassidy and Pac. That was their main championship match. They've done this in the past where they've done where the main event is not the biggest match, not the biggest names, but they have a different match on the show that is their true marquee match. Adam Cole and Hangman Page. That was not the marquee match of Revolution. It was MJF and CM Punk and the Dog Collar. So I think that the only thing I'll challenge you on and say that I think that they could do a younger guy, do one of the pillars, or I think they're going to do all 4 pillars in a 4-pillar match. But they have a marquee match that co-main events. That's the only thing I'll challenge you on. Everything else, I agree with you.
First off, there's no way in hell CM Punk FTR versus the Elite ain't the main event. Like you would be.
I think that I think it's like the real main event, but they're gonna call it a co-main event.
I will see an arena
championship in the main event.
I've seen people
will never go against that. They're just gonna call it a co-main event.
I've seen people clear out arenas for matches they don't care about. People will clear out fast for that 4-pillar.
What they'll do is they'll call it a co-main event, and the first match will be the 4 pillars, and then the actual the real last match will be the Elite FTR.
Okay.
But because of the way Tony is, he refuses to have the World Championship not be the main event. That's why when they did Stadium Stampede in 2020 and 2021, they were technically the last match, but they called it a co-main event.
To quote the great CM Punk, it's not the main event unless you're the last fucking match.
I agree. It's a marketing scheme. It's just the way that.
I know. I just like the CM Punk quote. It's like.
But I was gonna go back to the point is that the WWE will not have young people. They used to. They used to have like young guys.
I gotta
performing
challenge
for
that point too.
championship. They did like when in Edge era and heck in the
I'm gonna challenge the hell out of that in a
Aggression
second.
era, they did build up like a Stone Cold, Rock. I mean, Brock Lesnar. They pushed him before he left, but it's just I looked at that, yeah, with Triple H back then, and they were such people who were there, young, talent, not only with the wrestling but also storylines, everything else was clicking, and I think that was one of the reasons why people watched, people cared, and I think that WE is lacking that. It's been lacking that for so long that they have no young talent that actually can connect with the audience. And it is a shame because in the men's side, because the women's side they do. I think you have a lot of young, great talent, not just in NXT but also in the main roster and such. But I worry is that the men's side is very lacking. If you just think on Austin Theory, I'm like, that's really a very sad like bank thing. It's like that shouldn't be the only one there. You need people like Carmella Hayes should be on the main roster
So
right now. I think Braun Breaker should be on the main roster right now. Those guys should be the next ones up. They should be the ones. Braun Breaker should be the one dethroning Gunther at WrestleMania. Carmella Hayes should beat Austin Theory for the United States Championship at WrestleMania. Start their pushes now. Start them stuff right now, and you build that up. Because if you don't, you have the same problem with what WWE's NXT had when Hunter was leading it. It'll probably be leading again when Vince comes back in power. Is that it would just become just a overbloated third brand that people are too scared to go to the main roster.
So I'm going to challenge you on that. I feel like, and then I'm going to generalize this for the beginning, and then I'll go into your specific argument. A lot of people the last 5 years have made the argument that WWE relies on part-timers and on older wrestlers. And while that's factually correct, that is revisionist history. If you go back the last 10 WrestleManias, looking at, like, I think the only exception I can find is WrestleMania 35. So WrestleMania 38, the main events were had Steve Austin on one night, and then you had Brock Lesnar the other night. WrestleMania 37, you had Brock Lesnar, Undertaker in those main events. 37 had Edge in the main event, and one night. The other night was Bianca, Mercedes. Those were two full-timers. That's one of the exceptions. Same with 35 was another exception with Charlotte, Ronda, and Becky. It's another exception. But 35, or 36, I said for that one. 35, that was also an exception. 34, Brock Lesnar. 33, Undertaker. 32, Triple H. 31, Brock Lesnar. 30, Batista. 29, The Rock. 28, The Rock. And then you have so you have 27. You have The Miz and Cena.
Sure. The Rock was there. He was there.
You have Undertaker. You have Shawn Michaels, Triple H, all these Triple H again. All these people who were like, Triple H was still like a little bit full-time, but when you go back 15 years, you have to go back 15 years to find consistently where it was full-time, no older guys. Even then, let's go to WrestleMania 10 when Bret Hart had his first ever WrestleMania main event. Or no, it was WrestleMania 9 against Yokozuna. Okay, sorry. I'm not counting. Technically, Hulk Hogan and Yokozuna was the main event of WrestleMania.
It was the main event.
Yeah, WrestleMania 10. Bret Hart had his first full-on main event against Yokozuna. How old was Bret Hart?
I believe early 30s, late 30s.
He was 37 years old. This man was old. It took him a long time. I don't know how old Hulk was, but Hulk was also a transcendent star. Rock was a little, and I'm looking at years. Shawn was 31 when he had the match at WrestleMania 12. Taker at 13 would have probably been late 30s as well, maybe mid 30s. He was a little older by that point. Steve Austin was in his mid 30s. The Rock was around about 28 years old, so he was a little younger, sure, but I mean, Mick Foley was a little older at that point.
Batista was older than Triple H.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When you go through the list of WrestleMania main events, yes, there's a few exceptions. Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle. Triple H and Chris Jericho, Steve Austin and The Rock. Like there are some exceptions to the fact that there were older guys, John Cena and Shawn Michaels, old ass guys. Consistently, WrestleMania has been built on the biggest marquee match. And while the biggest marquee match in the 80s were younger guys, that's because that was just when syndication began. There was no history of syndication. There was no history to go off of. You couldn't put on Simon Gotch. You couldn't throw him in because no one knew who the fuck this dude was. You couldn't do those types of people. So that's why I think there's this sort of revisionist history when we talk about WWE only puts the old guys in the main event of WrestleMania. The reality is that those are the people who are the most popular. WrestleMania is supposed to be your biggest match of the year. No matter, I've always said that. That's why WrestleMania, personally, is one of my least favorite shows of the year. Because
it's more for casual.
It's not the best matches.
Yeah.
It's the biggest matches. We're not going to get the best main event all year because Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns sure as hell was not my favorite Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns match that year. I didn't give a shit about the match. I left early. I didn't care. I wanted to beat traffic. I didn't care. Even like there's some other like Charlotte and Ronda, still the biggest women's match they could have done. Didn't care about that match, but I understood. Steve Austin and Kevin Owens, that was fun. Was it the best match? No, but big match to book. And I think that goes back years. Same thing. It should always be the biggest match. The biggest match you could do is Roman Reigns versus The Rock. Probably not happening. So fuck it. Let's do Roman Reigns and Steve Austin.
Yeah, like that's
a big match. We're never gonna get it again.
That's the thing. I don't think WrestleMania. When people say, "Oh, well, WrestleMania builds the stars," it's like, yeah, it builds stars every once in a while. Like the stars kind of natural. And when you look at the stars it's built, Daniel Bryan, he was pretty old.
I was gonna say. WrestleMania 30 was the last example of WrestleMania building a star. Yeah. And then before that, WrestleMania 12, Shawn Michaels.
Let's say Bianca and Becky. Let's add Bianca and Becky to the mix too. They're probably also people who were built as. But Becky was way over.
Before Bianca, yes. Bianca.
Cena and Batista.
Becky was built.
WrestleMania.
No, I don't think Cena was built.
21. Really? I think that was his big.
Batista maybe, but I think Cena was built over time.
Yeah, Cena was already over at that point.
Yeah, same with like WrestleMania when Rock had his first, I believe his first main event was WrestleMania was X7, and by that point he was over as hell.
15 was his first main event.
Yeah,
against Austin.
But
right. Yeah, the first. But even then, like because he got over when he joined Nation of Domination. So even then, he was already over. He was already becoming a star.
Yeah,
he was already there. I think, and same with Royal Rumble. There's just this revisionist history that WWE has always done, that they always have built new stars. They've always built stars with the Rumble, with WrestleMania main event.
Even if we talk about who would win the Rumble this year, like, oh, well, who do you want to win? Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn, those aren't spring chickens themselves. Those are guys that have had injuries.
Cody's 34, 35. Sammy's 37.
Yeah, but the thing is, how many more big matches do they have left in that chamber?
Cody's 37, and Sami Zayn is like 38. So
But here's the question: after they burned out, Batista's retired, and Stone Cold will probably, if Rock doesn't do this match, he's probably done. And if Stone Cold, I think Stone Cold,
because here's the thing:
I think Stone Cold got like 3 years.
Like, here's the thing. I think Stone Cold will probably do this match because last time Fightful Select reported that Stone Cold was going to do something, he ended up doing it. And I kind of feel like this is a perfect, like, hey, if we can't get The Rock, we got Steve Austin. And
I think Steve, I'm going to say Steve will wrestle at 39, he'll wrestle at 40, and he'll wrestle at 41.
But then after that, what?
Then I don't know. I think he will work those three because he hasn't worked consistently in 20 years now. I think he can do these one-offs for Mania.
But here's the question:
and take the pay.
How many more big matches are there left after Austin? Who's there? And Rock probably is not going to do WrestleMania, next year or anything else. Who's else there? Who's going to be like that big match? Triple H is retired.
I mean, you're going to have.
Maybe.
that is a point I have made. I think that over time, and me and Chase, did we have this argument the other night?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, because we didn't. Yeah, it wasn't on stream. We had this conversation where I believe that the well will eventually dry up, and there's potentially going to dry up. I do think that there is a possibility that they could rely on Roman, Seth, Moxley, Jericho will be fine for a bit. You can get some out of him. Danielson, I think Danielson will be good.
Who knows with CM Punk? Maybe CM Punk.
Yeah, talk about it. The next guy I was going to bring up was CM Punk. I think there are a few people that you can call back to, because I think that the reality is that wrestlers can wrestle until they're 70. Mm-hmm. Jerry Lawler's 7 years old and still working matches. Terry Funk's still working matches. Like, these people are old as shit. Terry Funk's alive, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's still.
I don't want to say that he's working matches and wrong and he's dead. I'm like, shit. But
he might still work when he's dead.
Jerry Lawler's been in the business for 50 years. He's still wrestling. Mm-hmm. So I think that I don't necessarily think it's an issue they have to have now, especially because the women, I think you can get away for about 10 years of just doing what you've been doing with the men for the last 10 years, but do it with the women. Do Trick, do Lita. And by that point, you're going to have Charlotte. Charlotte will be a massive name. Becky, Sasha, Bailey. You have the Horsewoman. You have Asuka. Bring in, if you want to, bring in some of the people from Japan. Bring in some of the women's wrestlers from Japan.
And you can ask AJ Lee. You can knock on her door and say, AJ Lee, you want to come back?
You're gonna have Paige,
Nikki Bella,
Saraya Paige, Nikki and Brie. I mean, I think they're probably done for a bit, but I think once they're healed,
they're out there. They're showing it up on Saturday, Kaden. You're gonna hear "You Can Look What You Can't Touch." You're gonna hear Brimo.
I mean, because Brie said she was retired, and then she did 30 minutes in the Rumble last year.
No. Don't listen to these wrestlers when they say stuff.
I looked it up. She did 28 minutes in the Rumble after she said she was retired. Bullshit, Brie. You were the fucking Iron Woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Natalya.
The thing with WrestleMania,
Natalya. I think you have enough people. You have enough legends that you're building now. I think Raw, especially the Shield, right? You got the 3 Shield. Rey Mysterio's got a lot left in him.
Well, Rey Mysterio's contract is up.
But I'm saying, but over 10 to 15 years from now, who are the next people they're going to use for the next 10 to 15 years?
Hell, they can still trot out Jeff Hardy out there, and people will still react because it's Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Jarrett can still fucking wrestle.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing with WrestleMania. I understand a lot of people's criticism saying WWE needs to build the newer stars, but maybe it's just a situation right now, especially because of the fact that WWE is like, maybe they just don't feel like the current guys they have now are the next year. I think Carmelo Hayes is great. I think he's definitely one of the guys. I like Grayson. I'm actually high on Grayson Waller. I think Grayson Waller is actually really good.
He's won me over.
Yeah, I think he's really good. I think Braun Breaker is one of those things where it's the situation where, hey, maybe NXT is probably best for him because, at first I was big on Breaker and then I'm kind of like, he's a good mid-card guy. I don't know if he's a main eventer, but a good mid-card hand that will definitely do well. Like, I feel like he'll find his footing on the main roster. I don't think he's going to fall flat, but if you try to force him into the main roster, it's the same situation with Roman Reigns, where I'm a huge Roman Reigns guy. But there's times where Roman Reigns wasn't ready. But I'm also the big believer of you don't know if someone's ready unless you push them into that position, because you have to. But that led to fans not liking Roman Reigns. That led to fans being disgruntled about this man, and it led to the reaction some fans got, and it led to people not wanting to watch because they said, what's it matter? Because we're saying push Carmelo Hayes, push Grayson Waller, push Axiom, push all these other guys, and you're pushing Braun Breaker? That's what leads to more dissension, because when WWE pushes a young guy they like, the fans end up not liking them. And it's like it's the cycle. It always happens. It's a weird cycle. And I'm not saying fans are wrong with this one, but it's just like in the situation where it's just it happens where WWE, like for example, we can all sit here and say they should push Carmelo Hayes. We all think Carmelo Hayes is great. Guess what? They're gonna push who they want to push. And at the end of the day, they push who they think. Like, for example, that poor Gable Stevenson kid has no shot. He's going to come into the main roster. I don't know why they think he's going to be a babyface. People are going to boo this guy the minute he steps into that squared circle. The minute Gable Steveson steps in that squared circle, this dude is getting booed out the building because no one wants to see this guy. No one cares about this guy like that. You know what I'm saying? He's not a guy that brings any interest. Yeah, oh cool, he won an Olympic gold medal. Who cares? Great, you won an Olympic gold medal. Like, no one cares. No, like, I hate to break it to you. No one cares. It's like a UFC champion coming to WWE. Cool, you're a UFC champion. I don't care. You're not a WWE wrestler. That's
the build-up. That's the problem. NXT, that's the thing. Gable Stevens I don't think he should have been drafted to Raw or SmackDown or anything else.
No, they already retconned it.
Yeah, just have him be in NXT, stay there, for a year, 2 years after he does all this stuff, graduates or whatever, and just have him do the things there. And I still think though that WWE needs to have like a good, bench and a good type of like people they can call in, because Roman Reigns is not going to be there forever. Sami Zayn is not going to be there forever.
It's crazy to say they need a good bench. They have a good bench.
But
they just don't
not just a good bench. But that's true. If you have a good bench, that's one thing.
That's how I feel about AEW. I feel AEW has a good bench and they don't know how to use it.
Oh yeah, I do. I agree. They do messed up. I mean, heck, remember Wardlow? Remember him?
Wardlow was a Batista wrapped up to you, and I don't know how you messed that up. You had him say Wardlow's world. He came out and go, you're entering Wardlow's world. The hell? What do you mean?
But it got over. It got over, and people. It's basically the Goldberg entrance, but it's like he's Goldberg, but yet he could wrestle like a 97 WCW cruiserweight.
Yeah,
which is weird, but. I don't know how that
they
works.
Messed up Wardlow. They messed up Powerhouse Hobbs. Ricky Starks.
I know Hobbs getting.
Daniel Garcia had a moment, and then they just said, "Well, whatever." Yeah, that was Wheeler Yuta had probably one of the most game-changing moments for them in AEW. That amazing match with John.
The problem
Moxley.
is,
and then afterwards, he's losing in the best of the Super Juniors. Tony Khan sent this guy who has all this momentum to the best of the Super Juniors. Said, "Hey, go lose to this guy. Go lose to Iomunu." Like, what are you doing?
That's the problem. The problem is that they have a great start, but they don't know the middle and end.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And Wheeler Yuta can still get that positive like energy and push. You still get those reactions. That's the most important thing. They can still get reactions. But I think that's going to be the real test for like AEW. And WWE as well, is that when you have these young talents and how they're going to correct these, to say, okay, we got the good start. Let's see what they can do in the middle and end. Because right now, they have benches, but they just don't know how to really, Action Andretti had a great start being Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
And beating up Chris Jericho. He's fighting against the Les Sex Gods with Ricky Starks. Yeah. And I think that's going to build to a match at I think they're going to build to a match for Revolution. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the stipulation is that if these two guys win or something, they might end the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And guess what Jericho's going to do? The same crap. It is what it is.
No, I mean, it is. He is basically. He's signed for 2 years.
Starks and Jericho rematch at Revolution. Likely with the stip. Maybe not. I don't think.
Maybe the bat's on the pole. Maybe the Floyd is on the pole.
No, nothing on a pole. I think the
so Vince Russo is all elite.
Jericho's all elite. So
I do think that the payoff for Guevara and Garcia is Super Card of Honor pure rules match for the title.
That'll actually be a good match too. Sammy Guevara could actually wrestle that style. Most people don't know that.
Sammy can actually, I like to see Sammy in that style. I think that's
he can wrestle that style. That's the thing. A lot of people don't. I feel bad for Sammy Guevara because
he's a good fucking wrestler.
No, he doesn't
know when to shut his mouth.
Yeah, he's bad PR for himself, which is sad. Yeah. I think he's a great talent. I think Sammy Guevara is a wonderful talent. It's just he did bad PR. It is what it is. You can't be doing bad publicity. But yeah, I think pretty much WWE and AEW have good benches. They just don't know how to use them. They just go out there, and at the same time, too, we got to also keep in mind, too, we don't know about the whole operation. Like, COVID happened for both of these companies, and both of these companies decided to be lunatics and say, hey, we're still going to be open. And, I'm pretty sure they didn't make a lot of money in those COVID years. So I'm on the, you know how we got the COVID forbearance program. I give them a little bit of forgiveness. I give them a little bit, hey, I understand. I get if you can't push these guys because you need to make your money back. And if Roman Reigns is the reason why you make your money back, you push Roman Reigns. I don't care. I'm not going to sit here and be like, they're not pushing. He's winning. No, they need to make money. It's like just because they're WWE does not mean they don't make money. Just like AEW needs to make money. That's why they put the belt on CM Punk, because they need to make money.
Oh yeah, and by the way, it's and thank goodness that they had like other people making the shows interesting. Thank goodness you got like Sami Zayn around the bloodline to make it interesting. Thank goodness you had like the undercard at AEW and people like like I say, Will You, the best friends, Orange Cassidy, Pac and Death Triangle. Guys that just seem like they get their due, but they're like the workhorses. They're the people, they're the backbone of these companies. And I think that hopefully, I feel like they're going to get a very big shine. And, the year's early.
I'm glad
right?
you're hopeful. I'm glad you're hopeful.
Yeah, I think it's going to. But, I'm hopeful AEW.
I ain't seen no depth.
I'm hopeful.
I ain't seen no depth
I ain't
triangle
hopeful
no main
in
event.
WWE. I mean, I think
I ain't seen no depth triangle no main event. I'm glad you hopeful for them for in the main event.
I mean, Pac is still just, I think, we still haven't really figured out what they're going to do with him and Kenny Omega.
I'm still waiting to see Jungle Boy versus MJF at Double or Nothing.
No. I said this many times, but I think it's
I can't wait for All Out when it's MJF versus Darby Allin.
MJF versus Jungle Boy, Full Gear. Jungle Boy wins at Full Gear.
Oh man!
And you'll have a new young champion as well.
And then he just feuds with Christian the next pay-per-view.
No. He's not feuding Christian. I think he feuds with. Maybe if I really want to do something crazy, what would be the big feud for Jungle Boy since he's been doing these giant killings? Miro. If they somehow fix
the guy who didn't want to tap out.
The guy who didn't want to lose.
Yeah, the guy who didn't want to lose to Wardlow.
Sorry, Samoa Joe.
Oh yeah, Samoa Joe.
No. Wait, who was it? Shit, I heard somebody accidentally leaked who it was. Like I heard this.
I'm gonna have to edit that part out. I'll just leave. He didn't want to lose to Wardlow.
Yeah.
No, but I think that would be something. And by the way,
no way. So you're gonna say Jungle Boy and Miro gonna main event AEW Revolution?
No. I think that's gonna be the first feud. Winter is coming.
When you say main event, we talking pay-per-views.
Oh, pay-per-view. I think the first Jungle Boy main event, probably the rematch with MJF at Revolution.
And Tony Khan, the man who never does rematches, does a rematch.
I mean, hey, this could be MJF's swan song.
Bidding war
because he leaves.
Yeah,
he might leave. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But if they do, I think that rematch happens at Revolution. I don't know who else gets that shot. Maybe we might go with Sammy Guevara if he gets. The next few probably Sammy Guevara if they do something with him.
You know what?
Who knows? If his head is on straight and he keeps his head down, I would not be surprised. Sammy Guevara,
like I said earlier, I have more faith in Dax Harwood getting a main event world title shot than any of the names you just said.
Oh, Sammy Guevara,
Jungle Boy, Darby Allin. I think Dax Harwood has a way better. Kaden, would you agree with me that Dax Harwood has a better shot main event in a pay-per-view than any of those young boys?
I think Dax Harwood and I think FTR versus the Young Bucks main event Supercard.
No, I'm just saying Dax Harwood one-on-one versus MJF for the world title.
Like versus what?
MJF for the world title.
But versus what's the other option?
Versus MJF versus Darby Allin one-on-one.
No.
What? You don't think Dax would main event?
No, because Dax is not a singles guy. I don't think he would want to.
You don't think they would find a story? You don't think MJF would do a story where he injures Cash and Dax is all like, But we were
I
friends,
think
MJF.
if it's,
Oh no,
I think if
they
any
would.
I think if any member of the four pillars who the three remaining pillars who could main event and one-on-one face him, one-on-one face Max is it is Darby because of their match at Full Gear, like how fucking good that match was, and Darby's over as shit. So put Sting in the corner of Darby, do MJF versus Darby, and
so you're
Sting in there, you're fine.
So I'm saying you don't.
But that
don't have...
honestly, to me though, that comes up another issue because Darby, I know, I mean, he's great and all, but man, he is tiny. He is. I mean, I mean, there's incredible.
What are we talking about here with these young guys? These young guys. Look, I have more faith in Tony Khan doing a Bloodline light storyline where MJF betrays his good buddies FTR, and then afterwards Dax Harwood gets a main event shot.
Yeah,
I think Darby. I think we're probably getting MJF CM Punk.
Oh, 100%. I think we're getting.
I don't know. I don't know about that, man. But if
MJF should beat CM. Although I kind of think All Out's not going to be in Chicago. I think it's going to be at Craven's Cottage.
Full Gear will be at Chicago.
Oh, please.
I'm going to say Full Gear is in Texas this year. I think they're finally going to give a pay-per-view to Texas.
No love for DC. That's just great.
You haven't had great crowds.
Hey, DC, man, I was in that crowd. It was actually good. They were actually,
I mean,
they were loud.
Right now, any crowd deserves, besides like the UK,
Austin.
It's. I mean, I would love Austin, Dallas, or San Antonio. I think you would go with Austin. Just depends on if they want to run a pay-per-view, you can't run the venue they usually run. You'd have to run Moody. And I don't know, because it's a new venue, I don't know if WWE already has an exclusive deal with the Moody. Which is the only reason why I'm like, okay, maybe they run somewhere else where WWE doesn't have an exclusive deal and they can run a 10, 15,000 seater, because they'll sell 10, 15,000 in Texas. But I mean,
they did a really good crowd in Seattle, so I mean that was a really
and they sold it. That was a huge venue. I think Seattle is possible, but they're already doing a West Coast pay-per-view this year with Revolution. So,
but again, DC was the first show. It was the first time they did it in Capital One Arena. I missed that show, by the way. I was like, you know what? I'll catch AEW next time. Then the pandemic hit, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to miss any more AEW shows when they come down to the East Coast.
Yeah, I do think that if they're going to run Texas, Austin, just because of where Austin is, it's in the center of San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, relatively. San Antonio's a little closer, but Dallas and Houston are almost like equidistant from Austin. And then San Antonio is about an hour 15, hour 30 to downtown. So I think that's actually a really, if you want to do Texas and really get everything, get all people coming to you and want to sell the most, do Austin. It's also it's hella cheap to fly into.
Well, here's an interesting question, if we can end that on here. Do you think that Tony, if he's being very interested in trying to do some more, build up his whole brands and stuff, you think during these like build ups to like the pay-per-view and such, they do like, okay, at like Double or Nothing, Forget or whatever, is they gonna start putting the Ring of Honor pay-per-views right next to us, Saturday pay-per-views on the like, okay, you get Wednesday Dynamite, and then you get like Rampage, and then big Ring of Honor pay-per-view like Best in the World, or Death to Dishonor, or something like that right next.
I think you would have to do the pay-per-views on Sunday, and then you do the ROH show on Saturday. I think it's possible. I don't see why you wouldn't want to do that, especially if you go to a good travel destination, but I don't think every pay-per-view, maybe 2 hours.
I actually disagree with that. I would never do Ring of Honor. I would because I think they want to separate Ring of Honor. So what I would do actually is Friday Rampage, do the live Rampage. Saturday.
I think live Rampage they should always do, yes.
Yes. So here's what you do. You do Friday live Rampage. Saturday, do Ring of Honor tapings. Don't do a pay-per-view, do TV tapings. Go tape weeks of TV. Because Impact will do that after Impact because Impact, when they travel to pay-per-views, they do Friday pay-per-views, Sunday they tape. They tape their weekly shows for a few weeks. So tape your Ring of Honor pay-per-views. Go get a smaller venue. You can use the same venue if you want, but go do Saturday, do Ring of Honor. It gives fans something to do Saturday. and then Sunday you do the pay-per-view. That gives you a weekend of stuff. And then I think that's actually better. That way you can separate AEW and Ring of Honor pay-per-views and make them feel different.
And here's hoping that the ROH tapings don't go as long as the Impact tapings did around 2017 or 18. It took 20 hours of taping or something like that. Just these marathon tapings that they had to just keep
Kaden, you
going.
went to an Impact taping. How long did it take for that thing?
So they started a little early. They weren't supposed to start till 7 and run until a little around 10. I think they went maybe 5 minutes longer. They ended up starting around 6:40, 6:30 both nights, probably around closer to 6:40 because they filmed before the Impact. And then they tape. So they do 3 hours of tapings each day because each taping's almost exactly 90 minutes. And they do 2 sets of tapings, of TV tapings. So they do 90 minutes a Friday, Saturday, 90 minutes. I think you could do that Saturday. You could do Fan Fest at the venue, which they've done. They did that for Revolution. They did it at the venue, and they did it for Double or Nothing. Yeah. No, Double or Nothing was at Mandalay, but you can do Fan Fest at the venue. Do that at 10, 11, 12. Then you do your first set of tapings from 2 to 5. Then do another set of tapings from 7 to 10. Yeah, and that gets your people there. That gets them in your building all day, spending your money, and then in between the tapings from 5 to 7. Do more Fan Fest, do more meet and greets. You're gonna make a shitload of money off of that. And then just make it one ticket. If you buy your ticket to Fan Fest, you get in for the Ring of Honor tapings. Because that way
that makes sense.
Make it $50, $70, whatever, and then you can buy meet and greets, buy merches, do some free meet and greets too, because they usually do that at Fan Fest.
Yeah, but I do like that idea a lot because that makes more sense. Because you could do a pay-per-view, but then the thing is, the cause of burnout is always a thing. Because I'm one of the people who have gone to a takeover and then went to a WWE pay-per-view right after. I went to Takeover War Games, and then I went to WWE Survivor Series the next time. And you could tell, man, the energy, I'll be dead honest. I went to Survivor Series during Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura. I fell asleep. I'm never falling asleep live, but because I was so burnt out from Takeover War Games that it's a thing. So sometimes it's a detriment when you do those pay-per-views before the actual main show itself. So that's why I feel like I like the idea, do a nice ROH pay-per-view and stuff like that. But hey, maybe you do the ROH TV tapings, like Kaden said, nice TV tapings, get your ROH stuff out of the way. Yep. Tony will know who he has and doesn't have and stuff, and says, okay, cool, perfect. Then I can book around my AEW stuff if I do, because he uses the ROH stuff to help entice viewers to watch AEW Dark, with Athena, with the ROH Women's title, and then Daniel Garcia is a normal wrestler that wrestles on Dark, and he's a former Pure champion.
You know what I'm also gonna say to edit it? I don't use the same venue actually. I go get a convention hall.
Yeah.
And I do it at a convention hall. That way you can set up in a corner, you set up your ring and everything. That way it has that small Ring of Honor feel, where it feels like Ring of Honor. Because with Ring of Honor, I don't want this big production. Yeah. I want it feeling like Ring of Honor.
I agree.
So that's why I think maybe that's what you do instead of running that same venue for 3 straight days. Friday, Rampage. Sunday, you have it at the venue, obviously, but let's go get a convention hall like WWE does with Access. When they used to run Access, they don't do it anymore, unfortunately. It was just so stupid. I loved Access.
Yeah, same here.
So what they would do is they put a ring in a corner and they do some matches.
Yeah,
do that, but instead, make it look a little better production wise. Obviously, give it a bigger space and say
what they do for WrestleCon.
Yeah, like WrestleCon does this. Yeah, just don't have any. Or WrestleCade did this too. The basement, the lowest floor on the convention center, had their big super show set up, and it was great. I really like that idea. So like that. You have Tony knows he can talk to the people at StarCast. I don't think StarCast did matches, but he can still talk to them and just see what they feel like. Talk to Conrad. Go talk to people who run WrestleCade because they put on a great show. I'm sure he has people who worked Access before. It can't be that hard to do. I know in the past when they've ran Fan Fest in the venues, they've done matches. Like when they did it for Evolution, they did it at the venue and they did matches for fans. But I'm sure you can find a way to do TV tapings too. let's be a little creative with this. Let's be creative. Let's give fans a good time, because the biggest thing I hate when they do the 3-day pay-per-views is there's nothing on Saturday and you have to find something to do. And I'm just doing nothing. I'm like, okay, I'll give you the money. I'll go be rowdy in your crowds for Ring of Honor. I will give you all of my money if you let me give you my money. And they just haven't done that yet.
Kaden, you never had a Saturday with Chase Oliver, man. I find everything to do, baby. Vegas, oh man, I had a good time.
WrestleMania, man, we're gonna have a good time.
Friday, I went to that live Rampage. I was like, my beer cost more than my Rampage ticket. I paid $7 for my Rampage ticket.
All right,
and my beer was 14.
The smart man.
Chase, I can't wait to drag you to GCW and go see Chase Gage. Chase Gage needs to meet Nick Gage. We have to make this happen.
It's going to be great, man.
Chase Gage is going to retire.
Y'all
he might be dead. Who knows?
True. I might be going up to Vegas to see Double or Nothing, so you might see me up there. So
if it is this year,
think it's going to happen in Vegas.
By luck, it's going to be. I bought my ticket. It's going to be like, it's going to be in Idaho or something.
I have a gut feeling that they're moving Double or Nothing and they're moving All Out this year, or at least I think they're moving at least one. I think that.
Well, you know what? I hope it's all.
I think one of those two will be at Craven's Cottage in the UK. I think one of those two will be in the UK.
Well, you know,
on tape delay.
I want Double or Nothing. I want Double or Nothing in Vegas because Tony Khan said to me at the Rampage tapings that Double or Nothing is never leaving Vegas. And I was like,
leaving Vegas.
1 year later.
Yeah, exactly.
Double or Nothing in UK.
Yeah, so
the good thing is that like I'm 99% confident that Texas is never going to lose. Winter is coming, just because Winter is coming is the same week that the NFL has their GM meetings. The owners meetings in Arlington. Because that's where they're based. They're based in Arlington, so they do. That's where they do them. So it's that exact same week. That's why he does it in Dallas.
All right, but yeah, I think we're pretty much done here. We talked about this topic.
Yeah, no, we're done in general because it's been 2 hours and I still have to edit this, so it's gonna be a fun time.
Oh man, I'm sorry, man. I get to ranting.
I go on my little tangents.
It's okay, no big deal. Kaden, where can the great people find you?
Y'all can follow me on Twitter at Kaden, KADEN_FTW. I think last time we did a show, I still had that Twitter before I got locked out of it for a few weeks. Yeah. So same place. Y'all can find me on the Around the Point Network. This was going to go up Wednesday, right? So you guys can find me tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern doing something about Dynamite. Sad. We'll be talking about Dynamite. Then Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern for Around the Point, the flagship show. I'll be hailing from Texas as I'm getting ready to go to the Royal Rumble. You guys can also find me on Fightful Overbooked. I have my own show over there called Book It. I'm on FMC every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. with SP3 and True Heel Romeo. And final place I'm on True Heel Heat sometimes. I did the last night's watch along to NXT. Go watch that. Go watch the replay. It was a fun time. And True Heel Sports with this man up here. I'm up there sometimes with Chase. We did some football this weekend, had a good time, and we're going to keep I don't know what my schedule is going to be like. I'm hoping I can do some streaming for these Sunday games. I should be able to be on for the Sunday games, at least one of them.
I think I'm working this Sunday. Yeah. Duke, where can the great people find you?
Well, you can find me on youtube.com/DukeCT, where I do video reviews. I recently did a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder Revenge review, and there's going to be more video game reviews and pro wrestling reviews coming. Also, you can find me on, the Duke CT Lounge. You can search for that, and you will find under the YouTube channel there, Duke CT live stream, where I do the Duke CT Lounge live. And basically, it's a call-in show talking about pro wrestling, but also video games, the entertainment world, and all that stuff in between. So hopefully you will join me on that. And honestly, it's, pretty much that's it.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at ChaseOliver68. Check out the Spotify feed, Chillin With Chase. I would appreciate if you also hit the play button for like 3 minutes, so that way it counts as a listen. So that way I can keep getting that Spotify. Hey, maybe I'll get that that Manscaped ad that I keep practicing for on Trio Heat Sports, or maybe that Raid Shadows Legends ad.
Or your favorite Whopper.
If I got a Burger King ad, I'd cry. I think I would eat their horrible burgers just because of it. But yeah, you guys can follow me there. Also, Around the Point, you can check me out on there, and also check out my live reaction to Kaden, which was on to The Last of Us.
I forgot about that. Yeah, we did that too.
Episode 2 on the Good Brother True Heel Romeo's channel. $4 Robot. If you guys remember the Federation of Asshole Gamers from back in the day, I had a guy named Keemstar. He's kind of a big deal. You know, if you remember that group. Yeah, you can check out $4 Robot, where Romeo will be hopefully posting more content. And once again, like always, Around the Point Network, Trio Heat Sports, and Trio Heat, where I sometimes make cameos a lot. And that's pretty much it that I have to promote. Just check out the Spotify feed and check out the Twitter at ChaseOliver68. Kaden, Duke, thank you guys for joining me tonight for a fun, lively wrestling discussion. So if you guys know, for the wrestling podcast, we just like to talk about wrestling. That's what these podcasts are for. And hopefully you guys enjoyed chilling with us, hearing us ramble, debate, and rant about pro wrestling. But remember, guys, just like our former Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, sometimes you don't have to give a shit in life. Yow.
Peace.